TV6 investigates drunk driving in the UP. 2022 data from the state of Michigan shows the rate of arrests per 10,000 people is twice as high in the UP as it is the rest of the state.
And to begin a three-part investigation, TV6's Clint McLeod talks to community leaders about why drunk driving is so prevalent in our area.
Alcohol is believed to be a factor.
Alcohol is believed to be a factor in the crash.
Speed and alcohol are believed to be a factor in the crash.
You hear it often on our newscast, and Marquette City Police Captain James Finkbeiner says it is a serious problem.
I've personally arrested people where I've seen somebody have their fourth or fifth offense.
Finkbeiner has advanced training in field sobriety testing, and he has helped train officers at the Marquette City Police on testing potential drunk drivers.
Everybody that we stop that we may suspect of it isn't always that intoxicated, and sometimes it's a little more difficult to tell.
Finkbeiner says many people he has arrested lose track of how intoxicated they really are. The police captain says each person's body metabolizes alcohol at a different rate.
When you start putting alcohol into your body, there's only one way, of course, to get yourself sober again. After you've had something to drink, and that's just time.
In Marquette County alone, 355 people were arrested for drunk driving in 2022. That is the only county in the UP higher than the state average of 322. But data from the 2022 Michigan drunk driving audit also breaks down those numbers in terms of population density. It says the drunk driving arrest rate in Michigan is 26 people per 10,000. In the Upper Peninsula, that rate is nearly double at 51 people arrested per 10,000. Baraga County had the highest rate in the UP with 99 arrests per 10,000 people. Dan Para with the Michigan State Police Calumet Post says this could be because Baraga is a much smaller county than others in his coverage area.
Baraga County has a lesser complaint load than say Houghton County or Marquette County, which would allow officers to get out there and do more traffic enforcement.
Para works the night shift at the post, so he will be on the roads when many potential drunk drivers are trying to drive home.
Drunk driving is a huge issue that law enforcement, continuously deals with.
But why are the numbers so high? Finkbeiner says especially during a UP winter, there aren't many activities that don't involve drinking, and the limited public transportation options can push people to make many risky decisions when intoxicated. He says a third reason is social influence.
Your friend saying, hey, I've had too much to drink and drive, you look fine, why don't you drive? That's another piece. How do you say no to your friend?
The Great Lakes Recovery Center says normalizing drinking habits starts well before you turn 21. The organization says for many, it starts as young as 6th grade. In surveys from 2017 to 2019, up to 6% of 6th grade students in the UP voluntarily reported drinking. That number skyrockets to almost 50% in most UP counties by the time the student reaches 12th grade. These are only the students that willingly self-reported.
Our kids are exposed to a lot of social media, and it's the same thing with tobacco use or anything that's out there. They want to fit in to what they believe is the norm.
The national average for 12th grade students using alcohol is 30%. 10 UP counties are above the national average, with Iron and Gogebic counties reporting over 50% alcohol usage among high school seniors.
I think it's important as adults to model the behavior that we want our kids to also model and become. The kids are going to notice that, and they're going to realize that, and hopefully that sticks with them as they grow up.
Finkbeiner says if you are going out and drinking around your children, you should have another adult sober to drive home. Clint McLeod, TV6 Investigates.
Tomorrow on your TV6 Early News, we explore how drunk driving cases are charged and convicted and how rehabilitation options and stricter penalties hope to discourage repeat offenders. TV6 investigates what punishments you could face if you're arrested for drunk driving. We first told you yesterday that the arrest rate for drunk driving in the UP is double than the state average.
In 2022, 1,500 people were arrested in the UP for drunk or impaired driving. TV6's Clint McLeod speaks to 2 county prosecutors about how they charge drunk driving arrests and what role they play in discouraging repeat offenders.
If you are arrested for drunk driving, your county's prosecutor's office will determine what crimes to charge you with. Dickinson County Chief Prosecuting Attorney Lisa Richards says there are 4 objectives when a prosecutor submits a sentencing recommendation to a judge.
Those are punishment, rehabilitation, deterrence, and protection of society. And as a person reoffends, those objectives change priority.
Richard says prosecutors always hope rehabilitation works, but if someone consistently breaks the law, the state legislature has established minimum punishments.
For an OWI second, I believe there's a 5-day minimum jail sentence. If there's an occupant under the age of 16 in the car, then that minimum sentence goes up to 30 days. And also for an OWI third, there's a 30-day minimum plus probation.
Richard says in 2023, drunk driving arrests made up 25% of her caseload for the entire year. According to the 2022 Michigan drunk driving audit, of the 218 people convicted of drunk driving in Dickinson County, 151 of them were convicted of operating while intoxicated and 55 were operating while impaired, which is a lesser charge.
If it's their first drunk driving offense and their blood alcohol content is a 0.15 or below, and there's been no accident, nobody's been harmed, then most likely they would be offered a reduction to an impaired.
The two charges, operating while intoxicated and operating while impaired, are both misdemeanors punishable by up to 93 days in jail. Marquette County Chief Prosecuting Attorney Jenna Nelson says there is one difference in what punishment the court can impose.
The big difference between the two is the license sanctions. So with an operating while intoxicated, at least for the first offense, you have a hard 30-day suspension on your license where you cannot drive at all, and then you have a period of restricted driving after that. For the operating while impaired, you don't have the hard suspension, you just have a period of restricted driving.
However, there are disqualifiers that prohibit someone from having their charge downgraded to operating while impaired.
Anytime there's an accident, we don't offer a reduction. And also, if the person's blood alcohol content is a 0.15 or above, that would be a disqualifier for a reduction.
When someone is injured or killed, the punishment increases drastically. In the UP alone in 2022, 14 people died in a drunk driving crash. 11 UP counties, including Marquette County, had at least one death.
Those are going to be charged as felonies, and there's not a whole lot of likelihood that those are going to be reduced. We obviously want to discuss with victims' families and get their input as well.
The University of Michigan Transportation Research Institute says there were 322 deaths in alcohol-involved crashes in the state in 2022. The Michigan drunk driving audit from the same year breaks down those crashes in terms of population density. The state average for drunk driving crashes involving death per 10,000 people is 0.3. In the UP, the average is 4 times the state average at 1.2 deaths per 10,000 people. Nelson says a misdemeanor or felony conviction on your record could seriously impact your life.
It's something that somebody can look up. It's not hidden like it is for a juvenile adjudication of a case. So it can affect whether or not, employers might want to hire you if they believe that there might be some type of substance use problem or alcohol problem.
Richard says her role as an elected official is prosecuting criminal laws in Michigan. She hopes that will help decrease drunk driving going forward.
Holding people accountable, and in particular coming down hard on repeat offenders, I think is one way that ensures that the community is protected. And also, hopefully that has a chilling effect on drunk driving.
Nelson and Richard say with the help of their law enforcement partners, they hope they can stop drunk driving in our community. Clint McLeod, TV6 Investigates.
Thank you, Clint. Tomorrow on your TV6 Early News, in the final part of this investigative series, Clint speaks to addiction specialists about what treatment options are available and if they believe treatment and rehabilitation can make a difference for repeat offenders.
TV6 investigates how you can help stop drunk driving in our community. We told you yesterday what punishments you could face if you're arrested.
And in tonight's final investigation of drunk driving and the impact, TV6's Clint McLeod talks to addiction specialists about what help is out there and the future outlook on stopping drinking and driving in our community.
The Great Lakes Recovery Center says alcohol abuse is still one of the most common addictions its specialists see. Outpatient Director Renee Campbell says considering how much we know about the dangers of alcohol compared to newer substances, having to treat it so often is very concerning.
Oftentimes we look back at like what the consequences were for drunk driving in the 1980s, and you look back and now like here we are 2024, consequences have gotten way worse, right? But we're still having that same conversation with people. Why?
Campbell says this is the million-dollar question. The consequences are harsher. We know what alcohol does to your body, but drinking and driving in the UP remains a huge concern. Law enforcement says alcohol can impact how we act and our judgment.
We kind of change, our inhibitions change. We also think that we are a little stronger or that we can do things still the same way we did even after having a couple drinks.
In hope of altering that behavior, prosecutors may refer someone convicted of drinking and driving charges to rehab. However, Marquette County Chief Prosecuting Attorney Jenna Nelson says you also need to want to get better.
It's something you have to do for a lifetime, and it's something that we know is not just going to be gone in 30 days. But if we can take steps to make those treatment programs happen and give people support, then we would prefer to do that. But again, if it's something that is continuously happening, the punishment is just going to get more severe.
Many in our community work to stop drinking and driving every day, including those who serve alcohol, like Remy's. Downtown Marquette business owner Russ Modell says owning a liquor license is a privilege and the bar needs to serve responsibly.
We always want them to understand that their safety is our #1 concern.
Modell says at Remy's, it starts with educating bartenders on signs of disruptive patrons and taking immediate corrective actions.
There's those situations, too, where people enter where we know right away we're not going to serve them. So it's automatically making them understand or having them understand that we are not going to be responsible or liable.
Modell says he will frequently meet with Marquette Police Chief Ryan Grimm about how his business can encourage safe practices when drinking.
A meeting with Chief Ryan Grimm on addressing the issues of people leaving the bar and expressing to them the importance of them having a backup system as far as riding home if they've in fact had too much.
Some counties are seeing a decrease in drunk driving arrests. Data from the Michigan Drunk Driving Audit shows that between 2021 and 2022, Dickinson, Delta, and Schoolcraft were the only UP counties that saw a decrease in drunk driving arrests. Dickinson County saw its arrests fall from 178 in 2021 to 147 in 2022. Lieutenant Adam Sheppy with the Dickinson County Sheriff's Office attributes some of the decline to better education.
I think the awareness is up and people are using designated drivers more, calling for a ride.
The road lieutenant says the county is still patrolled consistently, and over this New Year's holiday, no drunk driving arrests were brought to the Dickinson County Jail. Meanwhile, Finkbeiner hopes all counties in the UP see a decrease in drunk driving. He says it starts with our decision making.
You have to say no, and you have to find those other ways. And the other piece is you never get in a vehicle with somebody that's been drinking.
Finkbeiner says when you go out, have a plan to get home and a second backup plan just in case. Clint McLeod, TV6 Investigates.
Thank you, Clint. If you missed any of Clint's previous stories in this series, you can view his entire investigation into drunk driving in the UP on UpperMichiganSource.com and, of course, the TV6 and Fox UP mobile news app.
If you have an idea for a TV6 Investigate story, go to UpperMichiganSource.com or the TV6 and Fox UP mobile news app. Click on the TV6 Investigates page and let us know what you think we should investigate.